I looked good. I got attention. I had friends. I had a great apartment. I had everything, but my self-worth and my self-esteem was so in the gutter. And I covered it very well because people are like, yeah, you're so confident. But I couldn't figure out why. Well, here I was on stage every single night, multiple times a week, talking shit about myself in a comedy routine. So you brought that up where it's that constant repetition of you're this, you're this, you're this. So now when I do those jokes, I've altered them just a little bit to where I think like when I talk about like my knee sagging, I think it's funny because I think it makes women feel better. So I'm not saying, oh, I hate myself because my knees are a little saggy. I'm like, this makes other women feel better because they're probably going through this shit too. And it sucks, right?
What kind of comedy do you do? Like, what's your main, like theme in the comedy that you do?
So I would talk a lot about dating. I would talk about growing up in Colorado. I would talk about like my nieces. I would talk about being, now it's like being a woman and the frustrations of being a woman. Things that are kind of like relevant and that make me angry of just how expensive it is to be a woman. So I talk a lot about that. It's like I had a joke that I was recently saying last weekend because it was International Women's Day. And I just said, it's so hard being a woman. It's expensive to be a woman. And it becomes more expensive every year just trying to maintain this shit. I said, I finally got to a point where I can keep my face up and now my fucking knees are sagging. And it's like, what the fuck? It's one thing after another, and people appreciate that because every woman knows when you start to get the crepiness around the knees, you're going, what the fuck? What do I do? There's not enough lunges. I actually got to do laser now. And it's crazy, but it's like men can look like shit. Men can do whatever they want, but oh God forbid that we shit, And I talk about all that. I talk about shaving my asshole twice a week, which is a lot. It's not not my actual asshole, just this guy that I'm dating. Let's be clear, I shave him. But yeah, so yeah, talk about that. I talk about having clear intent. Here's the thing is like I had to kind of take myself fully out of comedy because I was so blue. I was like, oh my God, I can't even, I literally step on a comedy stage and just a 18-year-old boy in a locker room just jumps right inside of me. And I'm like, yeah, who's not sucking dick for free? It's like a whole new, but it's really me. But I like that humor because it's true. And I was talking to somebody and they were like, oh my God, that joke you had about where I was saying, you know, the toothbrush. If you're sleeping at somebody's place, you usually don't brush your teeth because you didn't bring your toothbrush, especially if it's random. And I'll tell my friends, well, why didn't you just use their toothbrush? And they're like, that's disgusting. And I was like, so you won't use their toothbrush, but you'll just throw their fucking sausage right down your hatchet. Really? Seriously? Like, none of this makes sense anymore. Like, and I can tell you, the dick has been in a lot more different places than the toothbrush. So it's real stuff that like people can relate to, you know. But it's fun. It's fun. And then it's
I
like,
love it. I love it. I mean, well, no, the one thing I was thinking about though, because you gotta, you do have to be careful because, like you were saying, the whole mindset when it collides with comedy and I think the reason why a lot of actors and comedians and even singers sometimes their life is a little disruptive or a little
yeah.
Chaotic is because like for example, if you sing love song, I mean, think about your life, talking about breakup and talking about losing somebody or talking about like you sing the song every single day. You're literally saying these mantras to yourself, or if you're an actor or actress and you're doing a scene about how your husband in the movie cheated on you, and then you're going through that whole thing, and then you try to go back into your relationship, and then you're thinking your dude is cheating on you, and you're looking for every sign or whatever. I mean, it's gotta be honestly. I mean, and by the way, when I was about 14 years old, I was thinking about becoming, going into the acting business.
Yeah.
I'm pretty close to LA, and I was actually an extra in a bunch of movies, Pretty Woman and Charles in Charge and a bunch of different things. but I thought about it later on in life, and I said, wow, man, what a different life I had versus maybe an actor, because I grew up in the self-improvement world versus in the acting world, and so
Right.
it's
I'm
share
glad
share
you
some
brought that
thoughts
up.
on that. Yeah, share some
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
So I'm so glad you brought that up because that is something that I realized in like my own personal development journey before I like helped others is this. All of a sudden I realized I'm like, why is my self-esteem so shitty? And I was so hard on myself. Even other comics would say, you're so rough on yourself. You really need to give yourself a break. You're so hard on yourself. And I couldn't understand. I looked good. I got attention. I had friends. I had a great apartment. I had everything, but my self-worth and my self-esteem was so in the gutter. And I covered it very well because people are like, yeah, you're so confident. But I couldn't figure out why. Well, here I was on stage every single night, multiple times a week, talking shit about myself in a comedy routine. So you brought that up where it's that constant repetition of you're this, you're this, you're this. So now when I do those jokes, I've altered them just a little bit to where I think like when I talk about like my knee sagging, I think it's funny because I think it makes women feel better. So I'm not saying, oh, I hate myself because my knees are a little saggy. I'm like, this makes other women feel better because they're probably going through this shit too. And it sucks. Right. So like it's relatable that way. Or when I make fun of my face, it's not coming from like, oh, I'm self-deprecating myself, because it's a hilarious joke because I have a face that people want to tell you what they think you look like without you even asking. And that has been something I've dealt with my whole life. And I have heard some of the funniest shit
Okay, so
ever.
you got to tell me, because you got to explain what you're talking about here.
Are you ready for this? These are
Yeah.
like all the things I've heard. You look like you would bring your own food to a barbecue.
Okay.
You look like you would donate to an animal charity, but wear fur to the event. You look like a second wife.
Okay.
You look like you look like you suck dick in Greenwich, Connecticut. That was my favorite one.
Okay.
Uh,
I don't know anything about Greenwich, Connecticut, so
that was
that's
my favorite one.
that went over.
That was my favorite. And then the worst one, but it was somewhat funny, is you look like John Benet Ramsey if she wasn't killed.
Oh, shit.
So yes. So trust me, I spun that shit right into a joke and I'm like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when I was doing comedy, I was really having inner conflict because people would say, you need to be yourself on stage. Because I look so, like Stepford wife, so to say. I've just got this waspy, very wealthy looking face. I would go up there and I would tell these blue, dirty, raunchy jokes. And they were like, you need to be yourself. And I'm like, this is me. I am trapped in this face, but I am a 300-pound lesbian on the inside. And this is who I am. And it's not my fault I look like a Stepford wife because that's not who I am. So who I was on the inside, and this is still the case, does not match who on the outside, which is weird. It's a weird thing. But now that I'm just embracing it and I'm honest with it, it's like, this is me. So that's why people say you're not cocky, you're not an asshole, you're not arrogant, you don't like expect things from people. And I'm like, no, because I'm like just an average person, especially on the inside. I'm 300 pounds.
If you like this video and you want to watch another one, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.